Well, the one thing I was thinking about when I was watching this movie is, wow, they are working a lot in water. Um, how was that experience? Tell me about working in water and how much you guys actually had to like be in water doing all this acting.
About 80% of the movie, I feel like,
Yeah.
was us in the water tank, in the water, very cold, very demanding, but not anywhere close to how harrowing it was for the actual gentleman and the real situation that they were in. And so I think, all of us, we all had slightly different experiences in it. I think Terrence, Terrence hated it probably the most. Me just under him. Quentin and Marshall were, I think, the strongest of all of us, and I think that they recognized that there was no way out but through. They had the
Right.
least amount of clothing on, and they used that cold and channeled that cold, and we were all there for each other as best we could, looking out for each other in all of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a gnarly experience.
Well, I think one of the things that's most important about this movie is kind of that camaraderie, that bond that these main characters had while they went through this harrowing situation, which had me wondering about you guys and your own chemistry because on screen you guys work together so well. I want to know what you think the key is for building great chemistry with your co-stars. And Marshall, maybe we'll start with you.
Well, with this one, I don't think we had any other choice. I mean, we were stuck on a boat, and between like all the things that you're seeing thrown at us, it creates a lot of noise. So,
Yeah.
rain, water tanks, water cannons. So we had to shout just to actually somewhat communicate at all. And when that boat is really hard to stay on with everything going on. So we're really helping each other up and balancing and and also just the time together in between takes, and just laughing about the situation we're in. Like we're in a night shoot. It's 3 a.m. and we're shivering, waiting to even shoot, and we're watching the AD like just eat a sandwich, and he would just be like, you know, just waiting, waiting. We're like, what's happening, So we only had each other. So yeah, I think the situation really helped that out a lot, and yeah, I just it was really hard, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. I really loved the experience.
Yeah, Quentin, let's give you that question. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think the camaraderie for myself and Marshall, it actually started even before we were filming because we live very, very close to each other here in North Hollywood, and we go to the same gym. And he walked up to me one day, I didn't even know him, and he's like, "Hey, did you just get knocked off?" And I'm like, "Wait, who the fuck are you?" Um, and so, and so we he was like,
Exactly
"Hey,
what he said.
yeah," he was like, "I'm playing so and so," and I was like, "Oh man, that's awesome." And we were kind of challenging each other through the getting ready for it and the prep, and then we get out there, and so much of it was just the four of us, and for this to be a survival film, and a pretty big stage as far as the ocean, it was such an intimate take at it. And there were so many times, and for my character, primarily with Zach, it's like there were so many times where he's just like holding me, as close
Mhm.
as possible, while I am at that stage just kind of giving over to the elements, where I was with hypothermia and everything as an actor and portraying it. I couldn't do that much. There were many times when I was out in the water, and because of where I was, I couldn't even get myself back. And Zach would literally pull me onto the boat. One time, literally almost pulled my shoulder out the socket. I'm like, damn, you strong. Um, and we were all there so much for each other. Like same thing, Marshall just holding Terrence as we're going through these things. And so, you know, weeks full of night shoots in these elements, it would be hard pressed not to bond with the other four people going through that. I think you'd really I don't even know who you'd have to be to not bond with that. And I think we
Right.
did. We all bonded. And when I finally did get to see the movie, that just kind of jumped off the screen to me. My parents were like, "Wow, you all really just felt like that." And I think the way that we ended up shooting it, some of the stuff that comes earlier in the movie, we actually shot after we had done the tank stuff, so that camaraderie, all those things had been built. And when you kind of get to that those opening scenes, especially that dinner. It feels like four friends. It feels very familiar, and I think because at that point we were that. And I am also with Marshall. Really, this project for me is the one that I hold most dear. It's the one that I enjoyed by far the most. It's the one that I had the most fulfillment from. Um, I don't know if everybody would join me, but I go back in that tank in a heartbeat.
No.
No.
With that, we'll go to Terrence's experience.
Yeah, no, seriously, Terrence, how about you?
I think the bonding really came, to be honest, from you. It came from Marshall. Marshall was like that Care Bear tourist guy. Like even when we were on his boat and giving our all, in front of camera, these crazy days, Marshall was still on our days off. He'll still be knocking on your door like, hey, let's get lunch. Let's go tour Malta. So he was really the one that was still pulling us and making sure we were doing things together and hanging out. But like we said, on that boat, all the noises, you almost have to get so familiar with each other because we couldn't hear each other a lot. So sometimes you have to look at their lips and know who they are personally, to know the cadence, to know when to jump in. It was a really bonding experience. And plus you're in the water, so half of the time, like you said, we had long takes, so we're like holding each other even when the camera's off, trying to get body heat, because Marshall has this trick where he turns blue like a Smurf when it gets too cold. So yeah. But like, he's turning blue, he's turning. So it was really,
gotta get him warm.
I think Marshall was a glue that was like really making sure everybody bonded. So yeah,
that's really great to hear.
Yeah.
Zach, you have a couple words to say on this one?
Yeah, well, Marshall and I actually have known each other for, decades, through just LA and mutual friends. And so when this was coming up, it was such a treat that we finally got to work together. And then, getting to meet Quentin and Terrence, and for them to bring Marquis and Corey to life. And for all of us to, I wish, in hindsight, I wish I was staying in the same place that they were all staying. I was staying in a separate place. They all got more bonding time together than I did with them. But we all tried to spend, time together off camera, touring Malta, doing the things that one does, because we're out on this rock in the middle of the Mediterranean and trying to make this movie together and make it believable. But I think that, I echo everything that these guys said. I mean, you can't not bond when you're in a situation like that. You can't not be leaning on each other, literally physically leaning on each other and warming each other up and looking out for one another. And, it's all kind of imperative to it. And I am grateful that we shot those scenes, the non-water scenes at the end, because we did get to build all that bonding prior to that, which I think definitely brought all that together in a much more believable way. I'm grateful that these were the three men that I got to journey with in this really intense, unlike Quentin, I would never want to go back in that tank. Not in that tank. I'll go back in a nice warm tank and do something.
A hot tub, right?
Like the wind machines and the water and the cannons and all that stuff, whatever, that's fine. I can deal with that stuff. But that cold, even with a wetsuit on, I was like, this ain't the vibe.
I love it. You guys are awesome. I hope you guys get to work together more in the future. And of course, I'm going to be keeping up with your guys' careers going forward. We're already out of time, but I look forward to hopefully talking with you guys at some point again in the future. Okay.